and welcome to another edition of Wake Up with Speech and OT. My name is Ashleigh Moore. I'm a speech and language pathologist with South Shore Therapies, and today I'm joined by my colleague, Allie, who's also a speech and language pathologist from South Shore Therapies. Allie, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So last time you and I spoke on Wake Up, we talked about conversation stoppers and drivers. Those are the elements that are going to send you signals to tell you whether conversations are going well or not so well. So now we wanted to create kind of a part two to that discussion, and we're going to dive into what we call elements of conversational maintenance. So we're going to talk about you're already in a conversation with somebody. The conversation's already flowing. What pieces do you need to keep that conversation going, whether it's with a teacher, with your parents, with a peer? Those are the concepts that we're going to be discussing today. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about today was staying on topic. What does that mean, right? And it's such a foundational element to the conversation maintenance piece, because if you're not on topic, there's a lot of confusion that can happen, right? And so when we stay on topic, we like to first teach to do this towards kids' particular interests. So if they've got favorite foods or a favorite video game or a favorite thing that they like to do after school, we use that as a way to say, okay, great, that's your topic of conversation. And what do we now need to do to stay on topic, to stay that being the priority and the touch point of the conversation. Now, we try our best, but sometimes conversations can break down, right? So, Allie, why don't we talk a little bit now about repairing these breakdowns in conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So a conversation breakdown is basically kind of what Ashleigh said. When you're having a conversation and for some reason the other person or you don't understand what's going on and the conversation kind of just falls apart.
Yeah.
And a lot of time for our children and our clients, they don't know when a communication breakdown occurs or what to do when it does occur. So there are kind of two steps that we do or that we practice when approaching a communication breakdown. The first thing is to teach the child how to recognize a communication breakdown. And we can do that by recognizing looks of confusion. You can look at pictures of people either looking confused or not confused, and recognize when what someone says doesn't match what you said. So if you're talking about one thing, somebody else answers and is talking about a completely different thing, there might be a lack of understanding, a miscommunication, and then therefore a communication breakdown is occurring. And then once you recognize that there's a communication breakdown, the next thing that you want to do is teach the child how to repair the communication breakdown so that the conversation can carry on. So you can try and figure out what was misheard or misunderstood and try and repeat it with a slower rate of speech, or maybe with a little bit of clearer pronunciation. You can ask a question about what they've said for clarification, or you can just be honest and say, you know, I'm confused, I don't understand what's going on here. Can you start over or can you explain? And then that kind of, you know, repairs the conversation and allows it to not come to kind of like a dead end stop. You know, when there's a breakdown, you can always repair it and continue on with the conversation, and that's really important. So a lot of times kids do not know how to do that. So it's a really important skill to teach so that they know how to repair when these communication breakdowns occur.
Yes, it's such an important skill for us to teach early in these elements of conversational maintenance, because, you know, we don't want kids to feel despair or dejected if there is a breakdown. Breakdowns are going to happen. And that dovetails really nicely into another concept of self-advocacy, right? Being confident and be given the tools to be able to fix things on your own and build your confidence that way as well. It's such an important skill to teach our kids. Yeah,
it really is.
So the next element of conversation maintenance we wanted to discuss today is probably my favorite one. I really like to work on this one a lot. It's called wondering questions. I truly feel that wondering questions are a key piece to not just maintaining conversations, but building and going deeper with our friendships and our relationships. So what is a wondering question? So say your communication partner starts talking about what they like to do after school. A wondering question that you might ask them is, well, who do you do this after school with? Or where does this take place? Or why do you love doing this so much? A wondering question allows you to dig deeper into another person's interests. We know we love to talk about our own interest and could talk about it all day long, but to build those relationships and to build those friendships, we need to show the other person that we're thinking about them and their interests. And one of the best ways to do that is through using wondering questions. Now, once you kick off with a wondering question, Allie, what's the next piece we wanted to share with people to keep that going?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off our wondering question, once you've asked something to somebody and you receive an answer, you want to teach your child how to ask a follow-up question. And this teaches your child to expand conversations by asking relevant, on-topic questions in response to what was just said. And so, for example, if I was meeting a new friend on the playground, I would say, "Hi, how old are you?" And if the child responds, "I'm 4," and doesn't say anything else, I would kind of be like, what do I do now? How do I continue on with this conversation? But if a child asks a follow-up question and says, "I'm 4, how old are you?" that keeps the conversation going. And this is so important to teach children because just being able to respond to someone else's question is not enough to successfully maintain and expand a conversation. The child must have some information seeking skills as well. So being able to wonder about other people is so important, but being able to wonder and then follow through with the conversation afterwards is also equally as important because it makes the other person, feel like they've been heard or that they want to be talked to also. You want to continue the conversation. You want to follow up and know more. So it's a really important skill to kind of piggyback off of those wondering questions.
Absolutely. And that was a great example for our younger kids. And then what we like to come back to with our older kids with follow-up questions is going back to my earlier example of, what's your favorite activity after school? Not just asking why you like it, not just asking where you do your favorite activity, but having 3 or 4 of those in a row, because again, it shows the person that you're speaking with that you're thinking about them and you're curious and you're caring about what interests them as well. And again, back to the goal of our talk today is how do we build communication skills and friendships with our kids? So the last portion we wanted to speak to today has to do with connecting comments and adding thoughts. So if you have just a conversation that is just peppering somebody with questions, that can make them feel uncomfortable and feel overwhelmed. Another element of conversation maintenance we teach is making connected comments. And so we almost like to braid together wondering questions, follow-up questions, connecting comments, adding thoughts, because that braiding of all of it together really creates the most successful conversation. So what is an example of a connecting comment? So something I like to share with my kids is when we're in a conversation, say about where they've recently had dinner or something like that. Like I went to the 99 and I had chicken nuggets. A connecting comment to that conversation to keep it going would be, "Oh, I went to the 99 too and I had a hamburger," right? So you're not asking a question, or the person who made the comment about the chicken nuggets isn't then asking, "What did you have?" The other person's just jumping right in and connecting their story to something that they did as well. And that keeps the conversation going. And it's interesting, once you point out these things, you'll then notice it in your own conversations you have with your family and your friends, being like, "Oh, that's how I'm driving this conversation." So having these touch points, having this vocabulary for our kids to latch onto and learn from, it really gives them the context they need for these. So that is connecting comments. And then Allie, what is the last piece that we wanted to talk about today?
The last piece that we wanted to talk about, going off of a connected comment, is an add a thought, or what also used to be called bridging comments. So basically what that is, a topic, you want to stay on topic, but a topic can go in any direction. You don't have to specifically talk about one topic in a structured, strategic way. You want there to be that natural flow in conversation and topic maintenance. So add a thought is a strategy where we make comments about our own lives that connect to our conversation partner's topic or life experiences and vice versa. And the goal is to keep each person's communication connected to what someone else said. So for example, if Ashley said to me, hey, Allie, I just traveled to California and I visited my family. I had such a great time. I might add, hey, I used to go to California all the time when my Nana lived there. I love California so much. It's a great place. And then, an additional person in the conversation with us might say, oh, I attended a conference in California one year. And the conversation might change to the topic of the conference, but it still all stems from Ashley's initial topic of going to California. So each person is adding a comment based on their own experience about going to California, all based off of what Ashley initially said. So it's a great way to kind of, branch off a conversation and get everybody kind of incorporating their personal experiences, their personal thoughts, while all kind of just relating to the same topic. So it's a really nice way to kind of connect with others.
It definitely is. And there's also a nonverbal piece to that too. And what I wanted to just add on to say is when you're using the example that Allie gave of saying, oh, I went to California to visit my grandmother, not only does that drive the conversation, but that thought is an acknowledgement that you heard what the person said initially. And that is super important too. So using longer thoughts or just using shorter thoughts like, oh, cool, or that's great, or even a head nod will give that acknowledgement both verbally and non-verbally that you've heard what the other person said and that you've processed what the other person said. And that's another piece that a lot of our kids miss and that we frankly as adults don't notice that we're doing. We just are always naturally nodding along to people and saying, yeah, and cool and great, to confirm that we've heard these thoughts that people are adding. So there are many different ways based on the need of our kids, the age at which they are, and what their goals are too, making them really individual to our kids that kind of drive which elements of conversational maintenance we pick and target with our kids. So that is it. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I actually just had one more thought.
Yes.
About the add a thought comment is that, it kind of also helps children build their friend files too. So, you're having this conversation all about California, but now somebody's Nana lived in California, somebody went to a conference in California. These are all things that kids can hold in their memory to ask about at a later time too. And same with the wondering questions, same with, the follow-up questions, things like that. It gives children opportunities to, build that foundation for friendship by, learning more information about other people. So just one more thing that popped into my mind.
No, I love it because you're absolutely right. You want to hold on to those pieces of information, store them in your friend file on that person. The next time you see them, look at there. It starts all over. You've got a topic with your friend and you start the cycle all over again of having another great conversation using these maintenance techniques. So well done. All right. Well, that's it for us today. Allie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And thank you everybody for watching. You have any questions, comments, wondering questions, what else you want to hear from us? We are always taking suggestions for videos and education items. So please send us a message on Facebook or Instagram or drop us a line, social media at South Shore Therapies, and we would love to hear from you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.